we all have lives. We're all working jobs or some semblance of a job, and we've become very mechanical in our actions, in our whatevers. Tuesday night's taco night, and Friday night's night with the boys, and like whatever else, and you get into this habit of whatever it is. The question is, when is the last time, because we're talking about time, when is the last time you actually just did something fun, and for the sake of doing something fun? And what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Deep MCs, the podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man?
What's up, bro?
What's going on?
We are here.
Back for another episode, a watched episode. Terrible dad jokes there, but yeah, I'm not naked anymore. I got my watch on. Not sponsored, but I feel good.
You feel good. Hey,
I feel
you're
better.
balanced at this point.
Yes, so maybe I won't be as awkward.
You weren't awkward in the last one.
I don't know. But yeah, man, what are we getting into today?
So today, man, we're gonna talk about time. I know it seems like it can be a big thing, but I'm at the point, the resolution now that time is a bully.
Time is a I don't know if you can say this. Time is a bitch, depending on how you treat it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, it is definitely a bully for sure, man. It's a weird thing because I guess it all depends on how you use it,
Yeah,
and how you view it.
right.
And that's a weird, you can spin off on a lot of different avenues in regards to that situation as a whole, because I guess it comes down, for me, it's like mind frame, right? When people talk about time, some people look at it, it's the glass half full or half empty.
Right.
But there's more, to me, there's more to that. Like people say, oh, well, if it's half full, it's half empty. Everybody's on the different sides. But also with that, can you spill the glass and then it's gone? Can you add,
Right.
Can you pour into that glass
And fill it all the way
fill
up.
it, and now it's all, all the way full, There's a lot of different ways to look at it. Or is it neither? Is it just stagnant exactly where it's at,
And even with the glass being half empty or half full, or you filling it or emptying it, time still doesn't stop. It
For anybody.
care less about what you have going on, about what your life looks like in this season. It could care less about who died or who's living. It does not care, right? And it will continue to roll and roll and roll, and you'll look up 10 years from now and not have done anything with the time you had.
Yeah. So then the real question is time a bully, or are we just all a bunch of pussies?
I'm going with time being a bully.
Right.
That's what I'm going
I mean,
with.
I guess we can't, no, cause I can't say are we all a bunch of pussies, because then you're going to have the people say, well, now you're saying that just because you have a vagina, you're a less. So that's not what I'm fucking saying. I'm talking about everybody in general, Jesus Christ, but that's the thing though, is right, because time waits for no man.
Yeah.
Right, they say that.
Yeah.
Or now time waits for no woman, or time waits for nobody, whatever you want to say. But that's not time's fault.
Yeah, it's not time's
right
fault.
It's not time's fault.
Right.
So we have to ask ourselves, our own fears or whatever getting in the way of maximizing the time that we have, right? Because time is one of those weird things. Like we talked about, like we had the episode where we broke down a 24-hour day, and how much can be done. I mean, obviously you're running full tilt if you want to do everything, and that's not sustainable. But you have the situations where 24 hours can seem like nothing, but 24 hours could also be enough time for everything. It's just weird how time fluctuates,
and it's really how you balance it. You know what I'm saying? How you approach your 24.
Yes.
Is going to be important, and we said that in the previous podcast. But
yes,
it's how do we approach it? Because this idea of time has really been big in last year, right? In 21, it really became huge for me. With the passing of my dad, and getting getting my version of
getting sick,
right, like a lot of the other millions of people across the world in this season, right? And so all of those things brought time to a kind of realization, like this thing is gonna move, it's gonna continue to move. It's how do I take advantage of my portion of it?
Yeah.
How do I deal with my portion of it, right? And that's really where I am right now, man. It's not a New Year's resolution. It's one of those New Year's. It's one of those things that just has happened, at this season because of everything else. But it's the place where I'm like, okay, bro, you're not getting younger. That's not gonna happen. You're not going backwards.
No.
And you don't need to be younger to do what you need to do.
You
just need to be intentional about it. And let's go. And if this 24 hours for the next 6 months is too much, at least you've maximized it.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like that forever, but some of them, some 24 hours
Some
may
24s.
be overwhelming.
Yeah, they got to be a little bit much.
And that'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right? But at least you've maximized that time in those moments when you had the energy, the effort, the desire, the draw to be able to get it done. You got it done.
To do it. Yeah. No, I mean, you said a lot of good things there, and it made me think of two things. And the first, and I've talked about it before, and we've talked about it before, but like it's very unfortunate that it takes
those triggers,
the big catalyst, right? Like it's very unfortunate. It
Right.
takes a big catalyst in order for people to hit that moment of realization, and it shouldn't have to take somebody back, because everybody goes through it. And I want to say everybody, but everybody that I have seen and everybody that I've interacted with, like whenever someone passes, excuse me, there's always a thought of time is so short. Oh, I always thought I had more time. Oh, I always had this. Oh, I always had, and I went through it. For people that, if you're just now watching and catching on the show, right?
Right.
I lost my mom. I lost my dad. I've lost so many people that are important and valuable parts of my life. And every time you're just like, it's crazy. I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and yada 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 yada. And it's kind of like resolutions, right? Like you you off with this bang, and then you kind of trail off because you get set back into life again.
The newness of it
wears off. And because we're, as humans, we're so rapidly adaptable, and you just immediately just evolve and adapt into you change so easy, and you're so malleable, a lot more than people realize. But it's like, why should it take that, first off? And then second is, how can we take that spark, take that lightning in the bottle, whatever, and keep that momentum going forward, so that it doesn't get stale, it doesn't get old. That's the thing. And then on the other side of the coin, though, which I also see, and I've fallen victim to, is that when people get this catalyst or they get this spark, they go overboard, and like it's like a very large pendulum swing, or a very, you know, teeter-totter, whatever. So you go, like, you get the spark, and then you go from like this current place of stagnant to doing everything. And so,
Right.
well,
And there's
now
no balance.
time is whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna accomplish this, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do whatever the situation may be. And those people are missing the point, because it's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Right.
And just because you can do whatever it is, I don't know, whatever the situation may be that you want to do, does not mean that's where your quality time should sit. And I think that that's hard for people to also recognize, is that you don't need, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Does that make sense? You know, and I think that
There still has to be some wisdom.
yes, there has to be some wisdom, there has to be some focus, and like, you can utilize your time, but if you're going to have that spark and you're going to have that catalyst, make sure your time is going to the right things, because, you know, it's the situations you see, like we're here, we have this podcast, right? Just because you're all of a sudden sparked doesn't mean that you should have a podcast because you can.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't mean that you're meant to be a business owner. Not everybody's meant to do that. Doesn't mean that you're meant to be an actor or a writer or whatever the fuck it is. Just because you can, that doesn't mean that that's what's for you. And you can get so much value, because what can happen is you get so wound up in making sure that I'm going to maximize my day, and I'm going to my 24, and I'm this new outlook on life because I have this jump start, and you're accomplishing things, but you're still wasting your time.
Yeah, because you know, you said it. I mean, you still have to prioritize what these things are and what they're going to produce, right?
Yes.
So just to have something that you can check off the list to say I did it is something that's completely, you know, that is a waste of time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But if there are some things that you know you've been putting off, right? I have a binder of goals, right? You know, every year you kind of come up with these things, and they weren't like New Year's resolutions. These were solid ideas. These were things that I had put energy and effort behind, that I'd even made a business plan behind, right? And something about life came up and kind of stole the time from it. Are they still valuable? Yes, they're still valuable. Yes, there's still life left in them. I just need to go back and breathe life into them and identify, you know, which ones are going to be the most valuable in this season. But what I'm not doing is I'm not letting time be the reason why I'm not doing it. Right. Oh, I don't have the time to do this, or I got to do that, or you know, or because I have this, that, or the third. Yes, I'm about to have a new baby. But does the new baby stifle me from not being able to do anything else?
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
Let's see how much.
But I'm gonna be up, you know.
You may be up and cross-eyed, but
Might be up and cross-eyed. Is there something I can do? You know, is there something else I can do besides just sit there and, you know, rock?
Yeah.
Is there something I can be reading? Is there something that I can strengthen my thought process on? You know, are there some podcasts I could be listening to while I'm up at night, you know, doing these other things just to feed my brain, right? What are these things where we're maximizing? If I'm going to be doing up anyway, you know, what could I be doing?
Yeah. And that's I guess the main thing. And, you know, I guess it does kind of tie into our resolutions episodes and stuff that obviously are going to be out by the time this comes out. But that's what it is I don't even want to say maximizing our time, because I feel like that gives the wrong perception
that
in a lot of ways. Yeah, that it has to be packed, you know.
Right.
It's more so just making sure that you understand and appreciate the value in time, you know, and that you're using it to do something that's positive, you know, for you, whether it's mentally, physically, you know, emotionally, whatever the situation that's going to help you grow, you know, and it's about finding what drives you.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the thing though too, because like I said, we are, as humans, we are, honestly, we're not all of us, but a large portion of the population are like sheep, you know, and they can easily get steered towards this or that, or well, this is the new thing and this is the new trend and this is whatever, and so they just waver through life going, you know, towards whatever's popular or whatever's hot or whatever the cool word is now, but that doesn't drive them, and you realize you feel empty or whatever. You know, you can work your way up to a great job, a great paycheck, but that doesn't drive you, that doesn't fulfill you, and that's why you see a lot of those people, well, I worked up to the top and then I quit my job because now I'm gonna go dig plastic out the ocean, right? But that they found out what it is that drives them, and
what they were passionate about.
And I think that is huge, because it's not about just having stuff. It's not about just getting things. It's not, you know, if you are not passionate about it, if you are not driven by it, you're not going to feel fulfilled. You're not going to feel like you're maximizing your time. You're always going to be looking for somewhere else to find happiness or whatever.
You're going to be drained because you felt like you gave 8 hours to something that you hated.
Yeah.
And then had to come to, you know, these last 3 or 4 hours you had left, the energy you had left, you threw at what you were passionate about.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever it is.
And so what you're passionate about then falls to the wayside, and you're stuck in this position that you're in for 30 years because it was convenient, because it was consistent, because it provided a sense of security. Right. And so now you're pushing that and you're pushing that and pushing that, and you're going higher and higher and higher, and you're completely unfulfilled in life.
And I guess for the question for me then is because we say time is a bully, right? How do you stand up to that bully? How do you fight that bully, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that more than anything is what keeps a lot of people from the progress, right? Because you have people, you know, you have on one side, you have people that are just constantly doing the thinking, I want to do this, and I could do this, and I can see this, and I can see this, and da 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 da, and then it never happens. And then you have some people that just blindly jump with no planning
and do
it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
You're right. Then you have some people that do it and it does. Like, I don't know, but I feel a lot of people are stuck in this like moment of almost like time paralysis in a lot of ways, you know, because they recognize that there's a value in time. And you see a lot of times, ironically, right? Then they say, well, I don't want to do it because if it doesn't work out, it's a waste of time.
Right.
Or, you know, I don't want to do it because I don't want to, you know, whatever. And so you're in this paralysis state of not moving because you realize that it is such a precious commodity and you don't want to waste it or lose it or whatever. But then by default, you're technically still doing it. You're just wasting it in another form or manner.
Yeah. Right.
On something else, right?
I mean, time has a shelf life.
It does. It's a very varied shelf life.
You're right. It has a shelf life, and it's only gonna last as long as it lasts, right? And you're not gonna be able to go back to the pantry in 20 years and pick it back up, right? You can't do that. and it still be fresh. It's just not. That's not gonna. It's not gonna be there. It's not gonna be available, right? Yeah, I think one of the things, man, that for me, time has become one of my most valuable commodities, because I would always associated it. One of the things I've done in life is I've always associated time with particular things. We do these 5-10 year plans,
right?
In a year, these are my goals for the first year, so forth and so on, right? And even with my dad, right, I attached certain things in time to how they would be involved, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, the birth of my daughter, I can imagine my dad being this type of grandfather, right, to my daughter. And those were attached in time.
Right.
But time didn't.
Had another plan.
It had another plan, right?
Yeah.
So if I get locked into that, into what I no longer have the time for, I hope I'm making sense. Because I can get locked into my dad not being part of her life.
Yeah.
Which is no longer a part of it.
Yeah.
Or I could look at what is it in me that my dad shared with me, that he gave to me, that's left, that then I can just make sure that she receives.
Right.
Because then my dad lives on, right? His legacy continues to move. And so I don't want to get lost in the time and in the plans that I had made that are no longer part of it.
Yeah.
Because then my shelf life expires.
No, for sure. And I guess
I hope that made sense.
I mean, it does. It does make sense. And I don't know, like it's just so weird, because then like I think about it, and is the issue the time, or is the issue the person? I guess would be my question, because like I feel like the person alters the time, right? So like when you're telling your story and you're saying these things, and I try like to put myself in that situation or whatever, and like I could see myself going two ways, right? But I could also see myself becoming paralyzed in that time, because now like you're like, time is so precious that now you're spending time to decide what is worth your time. so you're right, because it's so then you end up still wasting time. And so that's why like I question myself, even for me personally, like is it the time, or is it me and how I interact with that time? And like I had this other thought when it comes to time. Like I was thinking, and it just related, because when we were talking about doing this, and I just had like this thought, maybe it was in my fever-induced delirium, right? Because you're looping time,
right?
And also losing time, because I'm down for the count. But I'm gonna ask you this, and I'm asking everybody out here the same question, and I want to really think about this, because now a lot of people are, and I'm building this up like it's gonna be the most profound thing in the world.
I'm on the edge.
It's not gonna be, so don't get your hopes up, all right? But I want people to really truly think about this question, and not just blur out an answer or whatever the fuck it is. But I say this because we're all adults, and we all have lives. We're all working jobs or some semblance of a job, and we've become very mechanical in our actions, in our whatevers, Tuesday night's taco night and Friday night's night with the boys and like whatever else, and you get into this habit of whatever it is. The question is, when is the last time, because we're talking about time, when is the last time you actually just did something fun and for the sake of doing something fun? And what I mean by that, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I went out and had some drinks with the guys, or I went out with the girls and we had a girl night. Like, that's not really fun. That's a program that we have involved into and become mechanical. When I'm talking about fun, I'm talking about think about the joy you had when you were a kid, and you did stupid shit just because.
Right.
When is the last time you had that joy as an adult? When's the last time you just did something fun? Not the scheduled vacation that we take every year.
Right.
Like, because yeah, it could be entertaining, but the joy is not there. When is the last time you done something fun? And I guarantee that answer is probably going to be a lot more depressing.
Right. For you to actually think through it, right?
For you to think
because
through
we get locked in the humdrum of life, right? And fun in our thought process costs money.
Exactly.
It costs money and it costs time, and I got to put it in my schedule.
Yes.
And what am I going to do about the babysitter? And you have all of this flood of things that come to suck the life
out of you. You're getting exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, bro, is that something happened when I went to Louisiana to hang out with my mom. And not that it was planned fun. It wasn't even something that I would do to have fun, but it was something that I did in my childhood, right?
Right.
And it was picking pecans, right? My mom wanted to pick up pecans. And so I was like, okay, here we go. My sister and I, we used to go to the country. We used to pick up pecans, but it was for our spending money.
Yeah.
Right? So that was, you pick up the pecans, you put them in the bucket.
5-gallon bucket.
5-gallon bucket. All you got you about $30, $40, right? And that was our money. Boom, we good to go. So here we are, some 30 odd years later, my mom wants to go pick up pecans. So, okay, let's go. So we take a drive, me, her, and my son. We take a drive. We go to the country. We sit down and we start picking up pecans. And I experienced something that I needed but didn't know. And there was a connection to those kid times.
Yeah.
Right? There was a connection to like carefree in the middle of a field with no cares in the world.
Yes.
And here I am sitting my big butt in the middle of, because you can't sit down and pick pecans. Let's just say that. Right?
Hell no, you
can't do that, because that's a sin of pecan picking. But I set my big butt down, and I'm just like, the breeze is blowing, the birds are chirping. I'm in this country breeze and air, and I had the most peace I had in years.
Dude, that's a beautiful thing, man. And that is the point. That right there is the point of what I'm trying to get at. And you're hitting the nail on the head. And the thing about it is, had your mom not said anything,
right,
you wouldn't have had that. And that's where time is weird, because, and I feel like we have it as children, and then you only appreciate it again as you get older.
Yeah.
Because like you said, everything is tied to money.
That dash in between.
Time,
yeah, right.
To this, that, or the other.
Yep.
But what you experience is life at its fullest, right there.
That's
and
it.
It's the most beautiful thing. And
it didn't cost anything.
Didn't cost a dime.
It didn't cost gas to get there, which I was going to spend anyway. Who cares about that, right?
Exactly.
And the experience of, so my cousins were there, my older cousins were there, and we are laughing about some stuff that had happened in the childhood. These crazy stories. and stuff you begin to, so you have these memories of great times.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that this was the best time spent in the most productive way.
Yes, and that's if all of us could find a way to tap that, I think that the world will be a better place. And we talk about these times, and if you think about when you're with your family, or you're with this, or you're with that, we have these talks and we laugh. And if you think about it, the mass majority of when we get out and we have those real from the belly laughs and we have the good time, we're talking about these times when we're carefree. We're not talking about Friday night,
Right.
Friday night game or Sunday night game football with the guy, hot wings and whatever else.
Right.
But do we question ourselves and ask ourselves, why is it that way? Why am I not laughing about hanging out with the guys 2 weeks ago?
Right.
I'm laughing about this time when I was a kid, and that's the thing. Like, I think about like the times where I had the most fun. Like, I was doing no cares in the world.
Yep.
I came and went as I pleased.
Right.
I might be on, like, I used to do stuff, and this people probably like, what the fuck ever. But there was like a time where my best friend growing up, like, we had just got our licenses, and like one of the things that we would do, especially when it would rain, is we would go up to the dam, because there was a dam there and it had a road on it, and like, I feel weird just saying so, but he had a truck, and we would take turns driving the truck across this dam. But the thing about it is that, like, one of us would be in our shoes holding onto the back of the truck, getting pulled across the dam. And then when you feel, and we would be going, like, legitimately going probably 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. Your shoes are getting hot.
Yeah.
And when you feel like you're about to eat shit, like, you jump and pull yourself up and fall into the back of the truck, right? So you don't eat. Please, if you're a kid and you're out, do not try. And God forbid if we had cameras back then.
Yeah, right.
But like, we would do stupid shit like that. And
But it was carefree, though.
It was carefree.
Yeah,
you weren't
right.
thinking of,
Yeah.
and as an adult, I'm like, man, I could slip. I can crack my head. If I catch my
fall.
toe,
Right.
if I catch,
Truck's gonna slip off.
yeah, I'm gonna get ran the fuck over. Like, I shit you not, we used to play this game. We used to play this game again. Same truck though. Shout out Donald. I know you're not listening, but Donald, that was like my brother growing up back then. And we would legitimately be like on a highway, and we did have a camera at this point in time. There's probably a little videotape somewhere. But what we would do is we would be on the highway, and you would have 4 people in the truck. You'd have the driver, the passenger, and then you'd have the 2 people in the back. And I don't know if anybody, I guess back then it's probably racist, but you call them like Indian fire drills, right? So like back then, which the thing was, like, if you came up to a stoplight, like, everybody would have to get out the car,
And change
you
positions.
run around the car
Okay.
one time,
Uh-huh.
and then you get back in the car one spot over from where you were, right? Whatever. It was the dumbest shit. But we took that shit a step further to where we would legitimately be in the truck on the highway, 65, because 65 was a speed limit at that time. And you would have to, like, I was the passenger, get out the car, go across the front of the truck on the highway, across the front of the truck, and then get into the driver's seat and take over driving. And then the
Truck still moves. Truck had to stop.
hasn't stopped. We're on the highway.
So y'all aren't stopping anymore.
The driver would get out the truck, go around into the bed, out the other bed, and then you come in on the other side, right? And we would do this shit. We would do this shit. I'm not shitting you guys. We would legitimately do this shit. And it was so fun.
Yeah, I got you.
It was so fun. But
Right.
that's the kind of stuff that we did, that we thought about. And like, Now that would not even as an adult, that wouldn't cross my mind, because like I said, you're so filled with everything,
all of the responsibilities you have.
yeah, that can happen, and this and that, and fuck, I can't, if I fall and kill myself, I'm gonna miss work, you know, or break my arm or whatever, you know. And
I think some of the things, man, we lock ourselves into, they're ingrained in us from the beginning, right? So we're allowed to be children only to a certain extent, and then we have to grow up.
yeah,
Right? We have to grow up, and we have to go to college, and we have to, you know, get a job, and we have to provide, and we have to do this and that and the third, and we lose that youthfulness that we enjoyed, right? That brought us joy, that put a smile on our face, that gave us the release we needed. And so we no longer hold on to that because we don't have the time for that.
yeah,
Time pushes that away because that's frivolous, that's immature. It's all of these other things. And so now we focus on these careers and these goals and these millions that I need to make, you know, and we focus on all of those kind of things.
slowly killing yourself.
Yeah. And
Slowly
we're
killing
not enjoying the moments.
No, we're not, and that's where I feel like as adults we need to really think about. I'm not saying that everybody's experience but is the same, and you know, some people had shitty childhoods, and my childhood wasn't great, but I still had these moments of extreme fun. And I'm not saying that as an adult like every day needs to be like that,
Right.
but
Right.
how do we incorporate that into our lives? How do we get back to where we have that time, we enjoy that time, we appreciate it for what it, like truly appreciate for what it is? Because a lot of times, like I said, like even when we have this conversation, not saying that we're wrong, but like we start the conversation about how do we utilize our time so that we can accomplish our goals and do this, that, and the other. We both did it, and we both do it, and we're continuing to do it. And that's it's not a bad thing, but at the same time, it can be a bad thing because we're not doing what life is. We're not living fulfilled. We're not like we're saying, how can we make sure that we're doing these things and accomplishing these tasks? And that wasn't like that's not important, and it wasn't important at the beginning. And you see these wise elders that realize that that's not important at the end. Right? It's about enjoying life. And how do we get back to making that?
Bro, one of the stories, because we went from my mom's place to my dad's childhood home. They're probably a few miles from each other, and you pass by one to get to the other one.
Right.
And so we stopped by my dad's place on the way home, and you know, I was standing outside, and I remember telling my son this story, right? And so he remembers the story. And so he was asking me about the story. So the thing was, me and my cousin, like brothers, right? We were only 6 months apart.
Yeah.
So we definitely grew up together almost as brothers, because I would always be, you know, at his house in the country, you know, chickens, goats. It was the full country. Like, this is not, you know, this is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so we were out in the back breaking eggs. So absolutely wrong.
Breaking a resource.
Yeah. A resource. Who cares about a resource? Who cares? What you mean a resource? You know, we need something to throw. You know? And so the chickens, we are literally in the coop, taking the eggs out of the coop, right? Chicken is laying the eggs, we taking them out and chunking them. My aunt, who's still living today, 92 years old, she comes out of the house. What are y'all doing? With a switch. What are y'all doing? Now, mind you, the house is up on blocks, right? It's an old country house. The house is sitting up on blocks. My great grandfather built it. Sitting up on blocks. What are y'all doing? She come with the, and she swings, right? She snuck up on us because we were just into it.
Yeah.
She snuck up on us. She hit me. Boom. I got hit. Ow! You know? We take off running. We gone. So we take off running as if we're not going to get caught. as if, eventually
Right, you got to come home.
you gotta come.
Yeah.
So we take off running. I run under the house. I go under the house because there's one hole where it's not closed off, right?
Right.
I shoot under the house. I'm under the house with chickens and everything else, right? He runs in the house, which was dumb. He runs in the
Ass gonna
house
get caught.
and goes under a bed. So she chases him because she's not coming under the house where I am.
Right.
She chases
right.
him in the house and then just takes the belt and underneath the bed, just swing,
Light his
light
ass
him
up.
up
Light him
underneath
up.
the bed. And so I'm outside, and I remember this like crazy. I'm outside and I'm looking, like, because I hear the screams in the house, and I'm just standing outside by the porch, just like, I'm not going
Not
in there.
happening.
So he finally comes out. He's like, "Oh, you hit me in my face. You hit me in my eye." He come outside, and we literally, both of us. I didn't get a whooping. She because everybody's
tired
now.
out by then.
She was wore out, and now everybody is just laughing because my parents are on the porch, my couple of cousins are on the porch, and they see us getting wore out. I'm full of dirt and chicken crap,
Everything.
because I
yeah.
crawled under the house. Dude, those carefree moments, dude, is what we need them, man.
Yes,
that
you
time
do.
spent. My son knows this freaking story. But if we talk about Friday night with the fellas, I couldn't even remember what we talked about.
Yeah.
But here it is. I have this story now that my son is like, ha, you got in trouble.
You got
ha, ha, ha.
busted.
You got busted.
Yeah.
And now he's laughing about the freaking story. I'm like,
But that's what it is, man. I mean, that's the beauty of life, is that you were living it.
yeah. Right.
You were, and that's the most honest and most open and most real experiences. And yeah, were you doing the right thing? I mean, it's debatable, right?
Right.
As a kid, you were doing the right thing. As an adult,
They told us to go outside and find something to do.
Hey, and that's how it was, and that's what you did, But it was just such a carefree moment, and it's just weird because you look at like some of the adults at the time, like your aunt at the time, clearly she was looking at it from a different eye,
right.
and not okay. But you laugh about it because it was such a raw experience, like
She'll even laugh and talk about it.
yeah.
Y'all remember
Because
when
it
y'all was out
so-
there busting them eggs?
Because it's not, and you get to a point where it wasn't important, right?
Yeah,
like in the time, you're like, yeah, this is a commodity, this is food, this is whatever, and you just laugh about it because it was kids being kids and like living, And it's funny because like I remember, I mean, it's not a similar story, but like I remember when I got in trouble growing up in California. It didn't snow very often.
Okay, right.
So you don't get a lot of snow, and we were living in Northern California at the time, and it was like the first time it had snowed in like, I don't know, 50 years, I don't know, whatever it was, ridiculous amount of time. And I remember like we got to go outside and we got to play in the snow, and I was living with my sister. I was a lot younger at the time. And me and my sister, who was almost 10 years older than me, we were out there making snowballs and whatever, and she was just lighting my ass up with these snow. I mean, right? She's almost 10 years older.
Yeah.
I had to have been, God, probably, I don't know, 4 or 5
Okay.
maybe at the time. I don't know. And she was just tearing my ass up. And so as a kid and you're getting picked on, you get mad and you want to cry
right.
and you're like, whatever. So I was like, man, I'm going to get this snowball and I'm going to I'm going to get her. I'm going to get her, boy. I'm going to hit her with this heat. And so being a kid, I packed up a snowball, not thinking whatever. And I packed it up, and we were like playing in front of the house. So we were throwing like horizontal across the front of the house. And my mom, like, you could park in the driveway, but you could also park like horizontal on the house. And the car was parked horizontal on the house. And my sister was standing in front of the car, and I just wound up and I let this heater go. I was like, I'm gonna knock my sister the fuck out with this thing. Not as a kid, not realizing I snow packed up a rock and hit the windshield of the car. And busted the windshield. And my mom was hot, boy. She came out. So
snow day was done.
Snow day was done. Whoopings forever. Right? Because it's one of those things, right? It's like, this costs money.
Right.
This costs
Right.
whatever, and it was just whatever. But it was such a genuine experience, and it's such just a real thing. And we were just kids being kids and having fun and living life and not paying attention and like just things like that. And it's just crazy, those are the better times.
Yeah.
Even though you got a whooping, it was still such a real moment. I could think about all kinds of stories. I know one time when we had this place, there was this burger restaurant called Foster Freeze, and they sold like ice cream. And
Okay.
Normally you'd go there if you were good, you can get an ice cream, and it was
Okay.
like cheap, right?
Yep.
Every now and then we'd go there and we'd get burger and fries, and we had gone, like it was like after church, I want to say it was. So my mom was like all dressed up. She was dressed up for church. But it was like me, my mom, my sister, and we were eating there, and we got to get milkshakes, which was like a rare occasion,
Yeah.
or whatever, right?
This is a great
And
day.
it's a great day. So we're getting milkshakes, we're getting burgers and fries. Like, holy shit! As a kid,
This is heaven.
right. When
Yeah,
you think
yeah.
about that, think about now when you have
Right.
a burger and fry, you don't think about it, you're just eating your food.
Right,
But
yeah.
burgers and fries and milkshake,
Yeah.
oh shit, it's going down, son. And I remember I was there. We're sitting at the table. My mom was sitting next to me. My sister was sitting across. I want to say my cousin was there too. But we were sitting there, and I was like, I don't know why, but like I was joking, and I had I sucked up the milkshake in the straw, and I like pulled it out, and I was like pretending that I was gonna squirt my mom. And my sister said something that made me laugh, and I went, and that shit was all over her glasses.
Your
It was
mom?
My mom. I hit my mom right in the face. And that shit was all over her glasses. It was running down her face. And she was so mad. And it didn't help that my sister was laughing and my
started
cousin was laughing. Boy, when I say I got my ass whooped because we were in this public place and I done sprayed my mom. But those are things like we would laugh about and
Yeah.
just so fucking hilarious, having those stories. And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I know when, but it's just crazy because like you grow up and you live your life. At some point, that carefree fun person died.
Yeah, they get buried.
They get buried.
Yeah, that's
And
crazy, man.
Yeah, I don't know really when it happened. I don't know, like,
I know the transition of it, right? Because it's when you start shifting from just enjoying it to having to be an adult, right?
Yeah.
You're old enough now. You're this, that, and you're given additional responsibilities that then make you an adult, right? You start
Yeah.
checking off these
Yeah.
things. But I think, man, we gotta have. I know it for me. Going to college and having to do this, and from kind of mid high school, I was doing football, I was playing baseball, I was doing, had to maintain my grades because I was trying to do this, that, and the third, right? And then going from there into college, you have to keep, kind of shift your mindset, and you
Yeah,
really just
yeah.
start doing things to, what am I going to be? Who am I going to be? And instead of just enjoying life, you now shift into this, okay, now I have to find this career. Right. And from what I was loving to do now became this, because I knew from the beginning I wanted to be an architect.
right.
Legos,
The whole nine.
my first box of Legos, I knew it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I told you I'm country. So I'm building barns for these horses and stuff,
Yeah,
and cows, right? And so all of my loves were connected into toys and into games, and the things that I was passionate about, I was building on every day,
Yeah.
and then got into life, and the this is crazy. This is revelation for me. The very thing that I was passionate about, I never really got to do. Because I went to school, got the degree, and couldn't find a freaking job.
Yeah.
You know, and ended up going into retail, which is, I guess it worked out because I met you.
Yeah. I mean, that could be considered a loss.
That could be.
So, I know how you look at it, you know.
Those fun moments, those times where, so almost what I loved about building and constructing and tearing it down and creating something new, that joy of that now became work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That joy of that now became work.
For sure.
And the time now is no longer as valuable because now it's work.
Yeah.
It's not, I could do this for hours on end, right? My mama had to come looking for me to find out what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm building and I'm tearing down, and she would come home from work and I would have been this whole tent city.
You were engaged, man.
Yeah, fully into it, right?
You
bringing in chairs.
Yeah.
All her cover and blanket and
tying everything up. And, yeah.
You know, and that joy, that creativity, that freedom is, I think, what we need to take some time and put back into as adults.
100%, man. You know, and it's crazy because, like, even my mom would tell me, and I blew her off so much. But as I was getting older and getting to the age where I'm about to leave the house, she would tell me all the time. She was like, "Don't be in a hurry to grow up."
Yeah.
You know, don't be in a hurry to grow up. You know, you trust me. You don't want to be an adult. You know, whatever it was. And I think, you know, even I think about, like, now as adults, there's almost a stigma around fun in a way, you know. And what I mean by that is, like, you have, like, as an adult, people who tell, like, other adults, I play video games, you know, they look down upon, or people that are,
because you're wasting time.
Yeah, you're wasting time. Or, like, someone that's an adult that just wants to go backpack and see the world. You don't have your life together. You don't have, like, whatever. And like we put a stigma on fun.
Yep, we do.
Why is, you know,
or even not necessarily fun, but experiences.
Yes.
Those experiences, like backpacking for a year after high school, going into college, is, you know, it's something that, you know, we don't do, right?
Yeah, not
you know
for
what I'm
us.
saying? That's not for us, right? But the idea of that happening,
yeah,
one of the most pivotal things in my life was going to Paris for a year. Not a year, I'm sorry, for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was my summer school. While I look back on it and I was like, if I hadn't gone to summer school, then I would have found a job, then I would have done all of these things. But that experience for me is huge. So much so that I took my wife on our honeymoon because I understood it. It wasn't foreign to me. So we could jump on a train and I know,
you can make it work.
I could make it work. I could look like the man. Oh yeah, I know how to get to the Eiffel Tower. Come on, let's get on this train.
Let's go. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I knew the system. But that came from this experience rather than choosing to do an internship that summer. I chose the experience that summer.
Yes.
And that experience in Paris, I was drawing the Louvre.
Yeah.
I was watercoloring the you know, and I got to go to places that my parents could never even dream of going.
Right. And
it was the same amount that I would have paid for summer school. So it just made sense, right? And so it's those experiences that I think as adults we take for granted.
Yeah.
We take them for granted.
I mean, I guess that's the moral of this whole episode, man.
Yeah, that's it, huh?
Just stop taking things for
because time is a
granted.
bully and doesn't care.
Time is a bully and doesn't care. And get back to having fun and really truly living life. Really truly living life. Not every day. You don't have to do it every day.
But what if you do?
And I mean,
let's not put a limit on that either.
I don't want to put a limit on your fun. If you want to go throw eggs or jump in the back of trucks, whatever it is you want to do, you know, But find some time to start incorporating it into our day-to-day bullshit.
Yeah, because it's gonna balance us, man.
It's gonna balance us out.
It's gonna balance, and we won't be as stressed out cussing people out on the road, because they cut into you.
Because they cut into you. Because that's, really, is it that important? You know?
Right.
I like it.
I love it.
Let's leave it right there, man.
That's it, bro.
Yeah. I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I can't be afraid.